Hey everybody, Eric Dorward here with the Spartan Rocketry Club, and it is time to paint. I already did paint some of this anyway. By the way, this is our Vanguard Eagle here, since I didn't mention that earlier. I've already painted this gloss white, and unfortunately, I think that's about as far as I'm actually going to get with spray paint. And there are a few reasons for that, not the least of which is going back to some of our little details. So all of these nozzles, they need to be painted black. And this is pretty small. Like, that's manageable. It would be really hard to mask off, but it's possible. The little tiny ones here, they also are supposed to be painted black. There's no way that I can do that with spray paint. Maybe a true master could, but I can't. Honestly, I'm going to have a hard time doing anything with this, to be honest with you. So I decided that instead of worrying about masking these off and these off, I'm just going to try hand brush painting this, which I don't truly love, to be honest with you. I am not particularly good at it. I'm probably worse at hand painting than I am at spray painting, and I'm not particularly a great spray painter either. But what I do have is some enamel paint here. I've got a couple paint brushes, one bigger one that I'm going to try to do the detail work with. I don't know how this is going to go, honestly. These tiny little things, they are definitely going to be something. So in any event, we'll just give it a go. This is, I think, the first video where I have bothered to try to hand paint anything. So there are a couple little items, I guess, that are worth mentioning about the process, at least how I do it. Make reference, of course, to this. This is going to be your kind of holy grail, but notice too that there are a lot of decals that are going to go on this that I don't need to worry about painting, so that's good. But what I do need to paint, all the little nozzles. Honestly, I don't know that I'm going to try that. I don't think I have the dexterity to pull that off and make it look decent. So maybe I'll do that, maybe I won't. The fins are all going to get painted black, and I'm going to paint as many of the nozzles as I can somewhat accurately. And we'll see how that ends up. It's also worth looking at too. So I have the decal sheet in here ready to go, just kind of as a gauge if I miss anything. Oh, the other thing is I need to paint this shoulder here black, which I'm gonna take this off and paint that separately, so I don't have to worry too much about it. The other thing, I have a custard cup with water in it. My paint it's water soluble, kind of. So I have myself a paper towel here to mop up any particularly egregious mispaintings. I'm also, it's a little dusty because I haven't used it in a while, but I have a little scrap of cardboard there that I use to put the paint on. So let's give this a go. Shake it up. A little of this goes a very long way, so I'm going to just start with a little blob and go from there. It's also worth pointing out too, I am not going to be shooting for 100% perfect coverage this go round, and I'm not going to paint everything on camera because that would get dull and repetitive. One last thing before I actually do this, and so I assembled all this stuff, I glued all this together. In retrospect, I might have been better served not gluing this tube together. I could have painted these fins with spray paint if this weren't attached, but since it is attached, it's going to be inconvenient. This back here though, the fact that there are these booster bump outs would make painting these, masking this off, rather unpleasant. So I kind of feel one way or the other that I was kind of destined to do some brush painting. So I'm going to load up, again, not too much, and I'm not looking to get complete coverage here. I'm going to just be careful about the edges, so I'm going to go carefully, and if I go a little bit too far, well, that's what that paper towel is for. Again, not being a particularly good painter, I personally find this a little bit kind of nerve-wracking. but I'm going to go light. My intention here is not to get that full perfect coat this first try. It probably will need a second coat. Almost assuredly will need a second coat. So I'm just trying to get coverage at this point. And you can see, like, I've left, there's some spots that are sticking through. That's just the way my brush strokes are going to happen to fall. I'm trying to rotate this so I can get good light as I go, and make sure I don't put my rocket or my sleeve or anything else into the paint, because I've certainly done that before, and that's just dumb. So something to be avoided. If you get a little extra too far, this stuff comes off, at least for now. Alright, that's reasonably good. Again, perfect coverage. It is not. The one thing I really don't want to have are like brush stroke blobs, so it's better to have too little and have some strokes in it that you can see all the way down to the white paint than it is to have giant blobs. So I'm not going to paint this whole thing. I'm going to paint a couple fins and go from there. Notice I've only loaded up my brush once, and I'm still getting a lot of coverage here. I've done both sides of one fin, and this is a much bigger fin, of course. And I'm going to run out here, probably. But this is still just one load of paint on my brush. That's pretty good. Cover those edges. Oops. See if I can't get a little bit better coverage. Yeah, that's probably as good as it's going to get on this pass. I could load up some more paint to try to fill that in, but again, I'd rather have this thin and need another coat than anything else. Just put the tiniest little bit of extra paint on my brush here to load up for the next round. Getting that edge right in the crack in between the two, or the part we're painting and the part we're not, that's the tricky part. Now I can see this isn't quite perfectly straight. You could try to mask this off. I mean, you absolutely can, but again, part of the problem that I have here is that masking this off is going to be difficult because of the odd shape of the parts. Alright, so the fins are going to go kind of like that. It's going to be fairly repetitive. I also need to brush on, well, I'm going to try anyway, on the nozzles here. I really don't want to get paint too far in, and some of this part, like those brush strokes are pretty easy. Oh shoot, I touched the edge of this to the ground. That wasn't too smart. Some of these brush strokes aren't going to be that bad, but some of them are going to be pretty focused in there, and that could potentially be a problem. So go slow. It might not hurt to, err on the side of underpainting this than overpainting, because I really don't want to have any like giant blobs of paint where they don't belong. Although that being said, this is the business end of the rocket. There is going to be heat and soot and stuff coming off when you burn the motor here. So it wouldn't be the worst thing ever to have a little ugliness here or there. Alright, so that's kind of the basic gist for painting this part. This is the easy part, whether I like it or not. So I'm going to just put that aside for a moment. I will continue painting that off camera. This is just a decorative piece, so do with it as you please. I'm pretty sure that these things are supposed to be painted the whole way up, but again, see if you can consult with a picture. I can't tell. It's right down here, so no clue. So, maybe you only want to paint the last little bit of the bell, and you don't want to have you don't want to have it like this, so white here and black here. Maybe you want to do that. I don't know. It's certainly up to you. It's your rocket, right? I think I'm going to take that approach. And again, I don't have much paint left in the brush at the moment, so this is kind of slow go here, which is fine. I don't have a consistent coat, but I don't need it at this point. It's going to take multiple layers. Inside here should probably also be painted. I don't know who's going to go looking. I probably won't, but I'm going to try sticking the bristles in at least a little bit. It's not going to be that easy, and I don't think I can get very far down, so I'm just going to be pleased with whatever coverage I get, and we'll say that's probably good enough. Alright, so there are other ones to do there. Yeah, honestly, I'm thinking about this. I would personally rather have the engine bells look kind of silvery, but I don't have any silver paint like this, and also the instructions say black, so let's do black. Alright, now the nose cone is the part that I've kind of been dreading, and there are a couple reasons for that. One is that I have to paint the shoulder, and the other is the teeny tiny little bits there. So I actually am going to use a little bit of masking tape here to help me. And it's not that I'm going to try to keep this super pretty. What I really want to do is keep the paint out of here. This is the interior part. This, you know, fits inside the rocket, and I don't need to mess with that. All right, so I'm actually going to tape that off. So there we have it. I'm going to push this down tight. There we go. Alright, so the back part I can paint onto the tape, no big problem. The harder part is getting this seam part right. So I'm going to load up a little bit of paint, mostly on the tip of the brush, and I'm going to do my best to just leave the tip kind of in right where the crack or the seam between the shoulder and the nose cone is, and try to more move the nose cone slowly. I'm also moving the brush a little bit. I honestly kind of can't help it. I don't know why I want to do it, but I do apparently. I think I would be better off more moving the nose cone than I would moving my brush hand. So I'm just going to go as slowly as I can here. And, you know, I'm saying that I want to do 2 coats of this. I do. But I can tell you the part that I really don't want to do 2 coats of is right at that edge. I want that to be as painted as I ever want it to be. I don't want to have to go over that twice, because invariably when I do that I end up going farther than I intended. Alright, so I painted around that. I'm going to just quickly and not terribly carefully just brush over the rest of this. I do want, yeah, that's not covering particularly well, but that's okay. I don't need it to. This is definitely an easy part for a second coat. But the tape here is at least, you know, saving me some trouble, because I can't afford to be a little sloppy, because what am I going to do? I'm painting the tape. No harm, no foul there. Probably. Anyway, I mean, I suppose it's possible that that could be a bad thing, but I don't see it. I am also making sure that I haven't left any obvious globs, and it's, you know, I'm underpainting here to make sure that that's the case. Alright. Once this paint has dried pretty thoroughly, then it's time for the second coat. But for the time being, I'm just going to let that sit. Alright, let's see how these nozzles go. I'm going to bring this brush, and honestly, I'm just going to kind of tap the paint on and hope that I do a decent enough job. So I'm getting the tiniest amount that I can muster on this brush, and I'm just going to dab it right on that nozzle. That's as good as I'm willing to do, I think. I didn't get the underside. I can't imagine how I would. I don't know how I would get under there with enough dexterity and precision to get the underside and not paint all over the nose cone. So maybe like dabs in a couple directions, and that's as good as it's going to get. I'm actually just going to do all this. Again, if you have an interest in like model cars or models that aren't rockets, so plastic models that don't fly, but you know, maybe they move or whatever, this is probably second nature to you. This is not second nature to me. I am not particularly good at it. I don't spend a lot of time doing it. So, you know, my finished product here is maybe not going to be that great, but honestly, I'm going to call that good enough. Since I have the brush here, I'm going to actually go inside the cones here, at least this one that I already did. I guess I might as well load it up and paint inside here, see if I can get a little bit better coverage than I had. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get the whole, I guess I could get the whole way down. Yeah, I can. Well, at least pretty far. It's not really great for my brush though. I can see they're like little bits fraying out as I do that. So I'm not in love with that prospect, but you know, I haven't been the best owner of this brush anyway, so I don't feel too bad about that. It's not anything, I mean, it's not great, but I've done worse. Alright, last little bit. And I think this video might come to an end at this point. A little more paint than that. That was basically no paint. Yeah, I feel bad because I'm kind of mangling this poor thing. There we go. Let's kind of straighten that out. Alright, so I'm basically done with this. I have this as clean water, but I am, of course, when I'm done with all this, I'm going to clean my brushes thoroughly, soap and water. Because you know, you treat your equipment right. I'm not going to clean that right now, though. I just need it out of the way. So in the intervening time between this video and the next, I'm going to finish putting the first coat on all the other fins that I haven't done. Then I'm going to put a second coat on. Maybe I'll need 3. I really, really hope not, because this is not my favorite part, like by any stretch of the imagination. But that's what's coming next. Hopefully, by the next video, I will be good to put the decals on, and we'll go from there. Alright, so thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.